Yes, Sanskar. Previously we have seen an example of red beetle and green beetle. The second illustration, that is again a color variation arises during reproduction, but now it results in battle with the blue in color instead of red. These beetle also pass the color on to its progeny, so that all its progeny beetles are blue. Cross can see blue colored beetles in the green leaves, the bushes, as well as they can see the red ones, and therefore eat them all. What happens initially? The population, as it expands, there are few blue beetles, but most are red. But at this point, an elephant comes by a stamp on the bushes where the beetles live. This kills most of the beetles by chance. A few beetles that are survived are mostly blue. The beetle population slowly expands again, but now beetles in population are mostly the blue. So over here the explanation is given to you. So this one is red colored beetle. Because of variation, there is one blue colored beetle. This blue colored beetle again reproduce, and there is a more number of blue colored beetle. Somehow an elephant put a foot on this particular branch where this blue and red beetle stays. So elephant નો પગ લાગવાના કારણે blue જ ખાલી survive કરે છે. હવે આ blue beetles છે એ reproduce કરશે, તો બધી beetles હવે blue color ની છે. So there is a variation because of the external or environmental reasons. It is obvious that both situations that were started as a rare variation come to be a common characteristic in the population. In other words, the frequency of inherited traits change over generation. Since the genes control the trait, we can see that frequency of certain genes in population change over generation. This essence of an idea of a evolution. So how frequently the trait is getting repeated, that gives the idea of evolution. But there are interesting difference too. In two situations, in first case variation become common because it gave survival advantage. In the case of green beetle, it gave survival advantage. The variation become common because it gave survival advantage. In other words, it was naturally selected. When we see that natural selection is exerted by cross, the more crows are there are, the more red beetles would be eaten, the more population of green beetle in the population would be. Thus, natural selection is directing evolution and beetle population. It is a result in adaptation in the beetle population to fit in their environment better. Environment ની અંદર fit થવા માટે જે વધારે સારું એક ફેક્ટર જે છે એ ચૂઝ કરવામાં આવ્યું છે, તો સર્વાઇવલ એડવાન્ટેજીસ ગિવન છે. In the second situation, color change give no survival advantage. Instead, it was simply a matter of accidental survival of beetle from beetle of one color that changed the common characteristic of resultant population. The elephant would not have caused such a major havoc in beetle population if the beetle population had been very large. So accident in some population can change the frequency of some gene of genetic drift, which provide diversity without any adaptation. So that is diversity without any adaptation quality. So it is called genetic drift. Okay, now consider third situation. This one is a third example. Okay. So this example is something like that. As you can see, these are all beetles. So initially these beetles are very healthy, બહુ વધારે ખાય છે, જાડી પાડી છે. Sometime after સૂકો થયો કે લીલી પાંદડા એને ખાવા મળ્યા નહીં, તો બિચારી બધી થઈ ગઈ પાતળી પાતળી, સાવ પાતળી પાતળી, બરોબર. એના ઓફસ્પ્રિંગ એવા નાના નાના પાતળા પાતળા. બટ વળી પાછો વરસાદ થાય અને હેલ્ધી ગ્રીન લીવ્સ એને ખાવા જો મળી જાય, તો વળી પાછા એ જેવા હતા એવા ને એવા થઈ જાય. So there is nothing about adaptation, there is nothing about genetic drift. Okay. So in this case, beetle population begins to expand. The bushes start suffering from a plant disease. The amount of leaf material for the beetles is reduced. The beetles are poorly nourished. As a result, average weight of adult beetle decreases from what it used to be when leaves were plentiful. But there is no genetic change occurring. After few years, few beetles generation of such scarcity, the plant disease is eliminated. There are lot of leaf food at this time. What would we expect weight of beetles to be? So after certain time, if there is a more availability of food, definitely these beetles are going to be of the same size. Okay, so that's all for now. So we have done how adaptation, how genetic drift, and how scarcity of food, or let's say environmental factors, affect the beetles. Okay, so we understand the evolution and reason for evolution. That's all for now. Thank you.